We're back again to learn the daf. Today's daf is 41 8. So the question was, we left off yesterday about this hidden gift. A person who gives a gift and he tells the witnesses to he gives the gift hiddenly, so we can assume that it's not valid, and it's not good. So then the other person has no rights to the field, whatever, to the gift, whatever it was, because must be it was done for a different purpose, and he doesn't have rights to the gift. So the question was yesterday. The question was, what about how do you set how do you define a hidden gift? So we had an argument in the Gemara. One opinion holds that a hidden gift is something which is supposed which was when he clearly spoke out, go into hide and write the contract. That's one opinion. The other opinion says no, it's not that even as long as he didn't say, oh, go in the public and go openly give him the gift, that is considered anything that's and so something which was openly, that's a proper gift. Otherwise, even without speaking anything out, that's also considered a hidden gift. A gift has to be public. So the Gemara questions, what's the final halacha? Stama mai, when he didn't speak anything out. So we have two opinions. Which opinion do we follow? Says Rav. So we have an argument about how to follow the final halacha. Says Ravina going to the top of the page on 41a. Ravina Amar Leichai Shinan, says Ravina, we're not concerned about it. It's a good gift. It's a valid gift. Rav Ashi Amar says Rav Ashi Chayshinan, we are concerned about it. May be a matana tmirta, a hidden gift, and we don't use it, and we don't collect with that contract. The Gemara says the final halacha is Chayshinan. Again, we're concerned about a hidden gift, and we don't use it. Okay. Okay, let's go to the new Mishnah. The new Mishnah is two lines from the top. Okay, the Mishnah will discuss now about chazaka, which with no argument. He's saying, and the Mishnah is going to explain how if a person needs, in order to acquire chazaka, you must argue back and with a good argument. Otherwise you lose. Says the Mishnah, Kol chazaka she'eni mataina. Any chazaka without an argument, eina chazaka. It's not a valid chazaka. It doesn't work. Ketzad, for example, Amar Lai. So the owner told the claimer, Ma'ata Isa b'seshali. What are you doing in my field? What are you doing in my property? And he said, Shalai Amar Li Adam Davar Me'ailam. You know what I'm doing here? I was in this field for a few months, for a while, and nobody said anything to me. So let me stay here. So says the Mishnah, Eina chazaka, it's not a valid chazaka. And it's so simple that the Gemara is going to ask, Pshita, it's so simple, right? If you say, so if a person argues and says nobody's told anything to me, it's very simple that that doesn't work. So we're gonna see in the Gemara what the chiddush what the chiddush is. Okay. The Mishnah continues on. So what is a chazaka which has a taina, which is a good chazaka? What type of argument wins for chazaka? So shemachartli, you sold it to me, shenesat li b'matana, or you gave it to me as a gift, or avicha machrli, your father sold it to me, avicha nasan li b'matani, your father gave it to me as a gift. Harezu chazaka, that is a chazaka because that's a good argument. Okay, v'haba mishum yerusha einay tzarich taina. One who comes in the place of yerusha, then that's a good enough, and he doesn't need an argument. Meaning to say, so let's go back. The owner says, "What are you doing in my field?" So then, instead of saying I instead of saying I bought it from you, he says the claimer says my father bought it from you. Sorry. He didn't say my father bought it from you. He said the claimer says I'm doing. You know what I'm doing in this field because my father passed it on to me. My father passed away and he inherited it to me, and therefore I don't know how he got this field. Maybe I don't know. So that's enough. As long as he argues back and says my father and passed it on to me, that's enough. He doesn't have to say, okay, I know clearly how my father acquired the field because he bought it from you. He doesn't know, but that's enough because a Yoresh is a inheritor. He doesn't need that's enough. He doesn't have to say, okay, I know how my father bought it for how my father acquired it. That's enough. As long as he says, I know my father had it for one day. So Rashbam even speaks out that he has to bring proof that the father was there for one day. It's not enough to just to say. We'll see in the Gemara more about this. See if it's on page 41a, and we just finished the Mishnah. Now we're going on to the Gemara. So 41a, about 8 lines from the top, says the Gemara, Pshita, it's simple. The Mishnah taught us that a chazaka without an argument. He says, you know what I'm doing in this field because nobody mentioned anything to me. So it's simple. That's not a chazaka. So what's the chiddush? Says the Mishnah, says the Gemara, Mao de Tema, I might think that he wins. How's he? Okay, why am I? Okay, how? Hi, Gavra Mizbin Zavnale. Must be the owner sold it to him. Hi, Ara Mizbin Zavnale. Hi, Ara. He sold him this field. Ushtara Havelevi Irchas, and really he had the contract, and it got lost. Why did he say? Okay, nobody. So say what happened. Say that you had a contract. Savar. He thinks Yamina Mizbin Zavnali. Hi, Ara. So the Gemara says, I might think that he's an unlearned man. It means I might think he doesn't know he can win by saying I had a contract, by saying that I had a contract and it got lost. He doesn't know that, right? He's unlearned. I might think that an unlearned man. So we can argue for him. We can open up our mouth and say something for him. Mao de Tema, I might think, Hi government really he bought the land. Hi Ara Shtar Irchas. Really, he had a contract and got lost. Why did he say no? But then why did he just say a very stupid argument? Savar, because he's unlearned. Savar Yamina Mizmzavli Hayara Amrili Achvishtarcha. He thinks in his unlearned mind, he thinks that if I'm going to say that I had a contract, it's going to be worse for me. Because if you had a contract, where is it? He doesn't know this halacha that you can throw out that after 3 years you get a chazaka. So I might think let's speak up for him. Let's speak it up for him and say because he's unlearned, he didn't know what to say. But we, based in the court, who knows the halacha, knows all the laws, we can speak up for him. In this scenario, we open up our mouths for people who are mute. That's really coming from a pasuk in Mishlei. But it's also used. It's used in court for some people who don't know what to say. For example, for a lokeach. Somebody. Okay, we'll see more about this later. Or a yoresh, a son, whose father passed away, and he doesn't know anything about what his father's property is, so therefore he keeps quiet. So we open up our mouths for him. But I might think the same thing's over here. We're an unlearned man who doesn't know how to argue back in court. So I might think that we should argue for him, put the argument in his mouth. Says Mishnah Kamash Lan, we don't do that. We only do that certain scenarios, not here. But I might think even over here, Kamash Lan says the Gemara that we don't do that over here. That's the Mishnah's coming to teach us. So if you want to acquire chazaka, you have to say a good argument. Otherwise, too bad. Okay, next Gemara. Next Gemara talks about chazaka. The Gemara brings 2 stories. Where it says there's parentheses where it says anav simon, because ayin is different amirim who are mentioned in the Gemara. So it says over here, Rav Anan was one on Myra and lived in the times of the Gemara. Says the Gemara, Shakal Bitka Ba'are. A flood came and washed away the fence in his washed away his land and with everything, with the fence, and it was unclear exactly where the original fence was. Okay, so you have this flood, took everything, washed everything away. So Azal Hadar Kuda Ba'ari Chavre. He went and he rebuilt the fence and in his friend's property because he didn't know. He didn't know. It wasn't clear. The water, the flood didn't leave a clear mark where the property ended. So he said, okay, let me go a little bit further into my friend's property because he didn't know. So says the Gemara, Asala Kameder of Nachman. The story came in front of Rav Nachman. The case came in front of Rav Nachman. Amar Le, so Rav Nachman said, Sil Hadar, go return it. Because what happened was that the witnesses came and said, this fence is it's too far, and go build. And his friend said, okay, fine. So now that it's too far, now we have proof it's too far. So go put it back where it was supposed to be. So that's what happened. That's what the case came in front of Rav Nachman. So Rav Nachman said, we go return the fence, rebuild the fence. We're in the proper place. So Rav Anan said, questioned Rav Nachman, and he said, "Va'achzikili, I established for myself a chazaka, right? Because I was here." So Rashbam says it's a little bit different than a standard. Standard chazaka. Standard chazaka says, "I bought the field from you." Over here, he says that I didn't buy the field from you. He just says that. A different argument. He says an argument that my friend, because we're going to see later on that his friend helped him rebuild the fence. They were neighbors and they loved each other and they liked to help each other. So his friend helped him build the fence. So Rav Anan wanted to use that as a proof, as an argument that really he has rights to the field. He has rights to this extra space. So I have a chazaka because my friend helped me. And because he helped me, so then let me keep it, even though it's true that it's not in his possession. But maybe there's a mechila. He forgave it to me. Maybe we'll see. So he said, Amar le Kaman Kirav Yehuda Rabbi Shmuel. Rav Nachman said, it seems like from what you're saying that you're coming from the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shmuel. So if everyone remember. Just 2 days ago, we saw the opinion of Rabbi Shmuel, of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says that the point of chazaka is that he should be far away in Spain. That's what it takes. That's why you need 3 years, because it takes 1 year to establish presence in the land, then another year to get there, to get where the owner is, and the third year for the owner to come back. So that's Rabbi Yehuda. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, if the owner is in the same proximity, he lives in the same place as the claimer, so then he get the chazaka. We establish chazaka immediately. The point is that he should be of 3 years. Is that even if he's far away 3 years, that's also a chazaka. But if he's right here, so then the chazaka happens right away. So that's Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Shmuel, you see in the Mishnah, Rabbi Shmuel, it's really later on in the end of the chapter, we see Rabbi Shmuel also holds that a chazaka you can get immediately. 3 years is only for certain to cover up certain cases. But if he's here, you're making a chazaka. You're claiming the land in front of his face, so you get the chazaka right away. It doesn't take 3 years. So it says, so you want to rely on those opinions, right? Because you're saying that my neighbor was right here, and because you didn't have 3 years yet. You didn't have 3 years. It was the argument happened after right away. It didn't happen after 3 years. So you want to say you get a chazaka right away based on those opinions? Says Rav Nachman, we don't follow that. We don't follow their opinion of that shita, of that opinion, because the Chacham argue and they say 3 years is 3 years is 3 years. I don't care where the owner is. The owner could be far away. It could be right here. You need to have 3 years. So you didn't have a chazak of 3 years, and therefore I'm not giving in to you. So Rav Anan argued back. He was a very learned man. Amar Leva Akil. We have proof. We can assume that he was mechila. Mechila means to relinquish the land, because the asa. This is what I said before. The asa v'sayeh beguda badai. He came and he helped me rebuild the fence, and that's enough. That's enough of a reason to give me the land, because he relinquished the land to me. Otherwise, why would he help me? Amar Lei, so he said mechila b'tarsi. That was a mistake. He helped you rebuild it because back then, right after the flood, everyone was all getting themselves back together. Nobody knew clearly where the fence was, and everyone wanted to get back to normal life. And he didn't know he was a mistake. He didn't know that where the fence was supposed to be. He thought it was in the right place, and that's not good. Don't tell me that he helped you rebuild the fence, because he didn't know it was a mistake. He mistakenly rebuilt it. At kufach, you as well. You as well. You're not a thief. Right, Rav Anan was a Talmud. He was one of the Amiraim in the Gemara, right? So So it says Rav Nachman to him, Rav Anan, you yourself are not a thief. If you wouldn't have known the correct place for the fence, you wouldn't have built it in the wrong place, because you're not a thief. You're just like you wouldn't have built it in the wrong place. You didn't know, so he didn't know. It's not enough of a proof. It's not enough of a winning argument to say, okay, fine, he helped me. So must be he was mechila. Must be he relinquished the land to me. No, because it was a mistake. It was right after the flood. People were all thrown out of their houses, and there was a lot of big mess going on. But now that everything calmed down and witnesses came, so you have to give it back. So that was the final halacha. He had to give it back. Okay, the next story starts from 2 lines from the bottom. Rav Kahana shakel bidka ba'arei. Rav Kahana said a flood came and flooded his property. Azal hadar guda ba'ardeladidei. He went and he rebuilt the fence in the land in his friend's property, and then over here it was a little bit different. Over here, it doesn't say anything about his friend helped him. He just on his own. He assumed that his fence is supposed to be in a certain place, and that's what he did. So Kamed Rav Yehuda, he came in front of Rav Yehuda, okay, because his neighbor said, "What are you doing? It's my property," and he said, "No, it's my property." And the case came in front of Rav Yehuda. We just turned the page on to 41b, the first line. So he came to Rav Yehuda. Asel, I see Trey Sadi. So his neighbor brought witnesses, and the witnesses said, so over here we had 2 witnesses, each one saying a different thing. One of the witnesses said, Tarti Utsaisa al. The fence was what was it?
Said encroached 2 rows.
Okay, it was encroached 2 rows. 2 rows more than it was supposed to. And the other witness said, the fence was encroached 3 rows. Okay, so we have 2 witnesses. Each of them are saying something else. So what do you do? Amar Le, so Rabbi Yehuda said, so we have the halacha is like this. Tarti Zoshlim, go return the land. Tarti migoy class. Go put it back 2 rows. And migai class from 3. So you have everyone agrees to 2. So the fact that one of the witnesses said 3, we disregard what he said 3. We look at what he said about 2, because in order to, we need the witnesses to agree on something in order for us to use them. So they both agreed to 2. So that's enough, even though one of them said 3. Because there's a concept from Yesh B'chlal Masayim Mana. This 100 is included in 200. So when he said 3, included in that was saying 2. And we can use 2 and say, okay, fine, the witness is saying 3, but he's also saying 2, and we can use both of them together and give him and make him and give him back 2 out of 3. So the Gemara questions that. It seems like it's not so simple to say that you can use 2 witnesses who are saying 2 different things as long as they agree on something. So we can use what they're saying in one thing and could disregard what he's saying somewhere else. So he says like this: the Tanya Kaman. So Rav Kahana wasn't so happy. He says, "What do you mean? The witnesses are not agreeing over here. So how can you use them? Let's just disregard them all completely." So he said, "Amar lei Kaman Rav Shimon ben Elazar. Your halacha follows the opinion of Rav Shimon ben Elazar." And he's going to say where we don't hold like Rav Shimon ben Elazar. So Rav Shimon ben Elazar is brought down in the Brisa. The Tanya, the Brisa says like this: Amar Rav Shimon ben Elazar, says Rav Shimon ben Elazar, Lo nechleku b'Shamai b'Hillel al shtei kitei edim she'achas imeres mana v'achas imeres masayim sheyesh b'chlam masayim mana. So there were 2 groups of witnesses, 2 and 2. The first group, okay, let's go back. There's the Bryce is saying that there's 2 groups, not just 2 witnesses, each one saying something else. You have 2 groups. One group is saying, so one group is saying, okay, you owe $100. And the other group is saying, you owe $200. Okay, there's 2 people fighting in court. One of them, and he says, give me $200, and he says, and the one group says, okay, 200, and the other group says 100. So says Rav Shimon ben Elazar. In that case, everyone holds that he wins with 100, because you have a group of witnesses saying that he owes 100. The group that's saying 200, okay, fine, but everyone agrees that that's fine because you have two Adim, 2 witnesses agreeing on together on 100, and that's enough. So what is the argument? When is there a shita that when is there opinion that you split up the Adim and say, okay, fine, they're not agreeing, so let's just disregard them. When do you say that? On one group. One group is split up as split up. One group, one of them says 100, another one says 200. So over there you have an argument. You have an argument amongst Beishamai and Beisilal. Beishamai holds nechla. We disregard their testimony because it's contradicting each other. They're contradicting each other, and we just disregard them altogether completely. Beisilal, it says Beisilal, no, yesh b'chlam masayim mana. We can use this concept of yesh b'chlam masayim mana. It comes up a lot of times in halacha that included in 200 is 100. When you say 200, there's 100 plus 100. So we can say, okay, fine, you're not contradicting your friend who says 100 because you're saying 100 plus 100. And therefore we can use what you're saying about 100. If you would say 100 and he would say completely something else, okay, fine, he owes a field. So that's maybe 2 different things. But here he's saying 200 is 100 plus 100, and we can use that 100, the first 100, to pair him up with the other person. So over there you have an argument. Beishamai says no, we don't do that, and Beisilal says yes, we do that. So now going back to the story with the land. So you had this flood, which flooded his land, Rav Kahana's land. And Rav Kahana said, okay, fine. So Rav Kahana rebuilt the fence in his friend's property, and his friend brought 2 witnesses. Okay, you had one group. So one of them said 3 rows. The other one said 2 rows. Says Rav Yehuda, we give them back 2 rows because we join them up. We join them up. We pair them up. Rav Kahana said, what do you mean? Rav Kahana said, Rav Kahana was the owner of the property. And he said, what do you mean? What do you mean that we can pair them up? That's the opinion of Rav Shimon ben Elazar, right? Because Rav Shimon ben Elazar is the one that says that. If you look in the other shita, the Chachamim all, no, we never pair them up. As long when you have one group of witnesses who are saying 2 different things, we split them up and we get rid of them and we don't listen to them, right? We don't follow this brisa. This brisa is Reb Shimon ben Elazar, and we don't follow him. We don't follow that his opinion. So what do you mean? Why are you using these two witnesses and making me give back 2 rows? Just forget about them. They don't agree on something, so let's just get rid of them. So Amar Le, so Rabbi Yehuda said, I'll prove the. So he said, Rav Kahana, he continues. I'm sorry. He continues on and he says, this brisa of Rav Shimon ben Elazar, we don't follow his it's not halakha. It's not the final halakha, because I'll bring you a proof from a letter that came from Eretz Yisrael. Okay, a letter from Eretz Yisrael came and said that we don't follow. This is not the final halakha. So Rabbi Yehuda was unimpressed with that that letter, because he said, "L'chitesi, when you bring it to me, I don't see it. I don't see the letter that came from Eretz Yisrael." We said trust, but verify. Okay. Yeah. Rashbam says that we follow the halacha of Rabbi Yehuda. We don't follow. We have to. The letter didn't come yet, so he was the rabbi who was giving the halacha.
2 out of the 3.
He said 2 out of the 3. Yeah. Okay. The next Gemara. Hahu Gavra. Another story. Hahu Gavra. There was a person. Dedar bekashta ba'alisa. Some say kashta. I say. I want to suggest maybe kushta. Kushta was the old name of the city, Istanbul. Istanbul had before they called it Istanbul, they called it Kushta. How Gavra did ever Kashta Balisa? Okay, the place called Kashta. Possible Kushta in Turkey, we don't know. But Alisa in an attic. Arbashni. An attic is really the second floor. Baaliyah on the second floor. The second floor of a house. And he was there for 4 years. Asa Mari de Besa, the owner of the house, came. Ashkeche, he found him. I guess it took 4 years for him to catch on that someone's living in his upstairs. Asa Mari de Besa Ashkeche. After 4 years, the owner of the house came and he asked him, Amar Le, my bais by Besa. The classic 4 words of Cheska Sabatim. What are you doing in this property? My bais by Besa. What are you doing here? Amar Le, mi planya zavinda de zavna minach. So he argued back and he said, I bought it from so-and-so bought it from you. So he didn't say that I bought it from, he didn't say, okay, fine, I was here for 4 years because I bought it from you. Or he didn't say, that's all he said was, I bought it from so-and-so who bought it from you. That's it. He didn't know much more. He just said, I bought it from so-and-so who bought it from you. So he said, so the case came in front of Reb Chia. Amar Le, so Reb Chia answered, he responded and he said, if you have witnesses, the zarba iu, the zavna minach, so Rav Chia said like this: if your claim to fame is through so and so is through so and so, then you must bring proof. You must bring proof that so and so lived in the house. And once you bring proof that so and so lived in the land, so we will say on our own, we will open up our mouth and say that so and so bought the field from the original owner. Bought the house from the original owner. We were discussing before about opening up our mouth, speaking up for someone who doesn't know how to speak. That was before by the person, the unlearned man. The Gemara suggested maybe we should speak up for him. Maybe we should argue for him. We the court should argue for an unlearned man. The Gemara said we don't do that. But over here, the Gemara says we do that for a lokeach. A lokeach is a buyer who buys from someone, and he says, I bought the field from so-and-so. I know he owned the land because he was here for one day. I just don't know how. So because you're a lokeach, the court, we open up put the argument in your mouth. We set you up with the argument, even though you didn't say it on your own, because you're mute, because Elam means someone who doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know what to say because he's a lokeach. He has no clue. He has no clue what the so-and-so who sold the land, how he got the land. So we on our own, we bring up this argument and we say probably, and we assume that person bought the house from the original person. So even though he's not saying the argument, the house, I keep on saying land, even though he didn't say I bought the house, but as long as you're coming in the place of so-and-so and you can prove it that so-and-so lived in this house, so we will argue for you. And that's enough. The same thing is by a yoresh. A yoresh is someone who inherits a property, and he has proof that his father was in the house, the land for one day. So then we on our own, the court opens up and says we can say, okay, we can assume that the father bought the property. So Rav Chia, let's go. So it says Rav Chia, if you have no proof whatsoever that so and so was in the land, okay, you're saying I bought it from so and so who bought it from you. Okay, so if you can prove that so and so lived here for one day, even one day, okay, we're gonna see more about that. Even one day, that's enough. Even without the taina, even without the argument. But if not, if you have no way of proving that so and so lived in the property, so then it's not. Then you lose. Yeah, we can move forward. Anyone, any questions here? It's a little confusing.
The person was living there for 4 years.
Yes.
And then the supposed original owner came back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you see, so the claimer says I was here for 4 years because I bought it from so and so who bought it from you. So it's not enough. You have to bring proof that so and so actually lived in the house for at least one day. And if you have that, that's fine. Otherwise, you lose. So Amar Rav. So Hava Yasivna Kamei de Chabibi. We all know the Chabibi. It comes Chabibi in the Gemara means uncle. And Rav, the great Amora Rav, was a nephew of Reb Chia. Reb Chia was Rav's uncle. So Rav referred to Reb Chia as Chabibi. Amar Rav, there was I once heard Reb Meir Stern. He's a big Rosh Hashiva now. So he once said, why is the uncle called the uncle? Why is the uncle called Chabibi? Chabibi means someone who's dear to you. So Chavivas, like dear. Yeah. So he said because uncle likes to there's a certain connection between the uncle and the nephew is because let's say a parent has an obligation of chinuch, of musar to rebuke their children. If they see their children are not going in the right path, they have to rebuke them and mechanech and educate them. But and so even though the parents love their children, but they also at the same time the children feels like a little disconnection from their parents. But an uncle loves their nephews and their nieces, and they don't have that obligation of chinuch, of education, and therefore their uncle is referred to as Chabibi. So Rav said, I was sitting when Reb Chia was the one that said over the final that said the halach over here, and he said if you bring witnesses that so and so who you're claiming who so and so lived in who you bought the field from, who bought it from you, you have to bring proof that he was here for at least one day, and if not, it's too bad, you lose. Says Rav, Havi Yasina Kamede Chavivi. I was sitting in front of in front of my uncle when he said over the halacha. But I'm relaying, I argued back and said, I don't understand. If the claimer is saying, I bought the house from so and so, who bought it from you? So says Rav, why is that not enough? Why does he have to bring proof that so and so lived here for one day? It should be enough to say so and so bought the land, bought the house, and so bought it from you. Why do you have to bring proof that he was here for one day? Rav didn't question that, and he didn't understand. Because people sometimes buy in at nighttime when there's no witnesses around. Today we have electricity. Night is like day, but back then it was night, and the witnesses were sleeping, and someone needed a house. So he bought the house at night, and nobody saw. Why is that not enough? So Rashbam says it was just a question, and it was just a question, and Rabbi Chia didn't agree to that. And we follow the opinion of Rabbi Chia. Okay, so you need to bring proof that the so and so was there for at least one day. So Rav's saying something else. That's one thing he said, and the Gemara leaves it as a question, but we don't. Okay, Rabbi Chia didn't agree to that, and then says Rav v'chazise l'daite. So here, Rav is saying something else. He says that he saw. In the mind, he saw through the mind of Rabbi Chia, his uncle. Okay, I'm not sure how he saw through the mind, but he saw that if Rabbi Chia said you have to bring proof that he was here for one day. Says Rab, you should know that's he doesn't even need that. As long as the claimer says I bought it from so and so who told me. Sorry, Kamaydidi, in front of me, so-and-so bought it from you. So-and-so, I bought the field from so-and-so, and I know that so-and-so has rights to the house because so-and-so bought it from you in front of me. So there's no witnesses that he actually was in the house for one day, but he's using something, he's arguing back and saying, I bought it from so-and-so bought the field bought the house from you in front of me. So now he knows clearly. He has a clear argument. He has a clear-cut argument, and he's how he has rights to the house. He's not saying before until now. The story which happened was he said I bought it from so and so. Who bought it from you? I have no idea how he bought it from you. I wasn't there, but I always assumed that he bought it from you. So that's no good. Says Rab, if he would have said, I bought it from so and so, and I know for sure, I'm positive he bought it from you because I saw him buying it from you. So that's a good that's his claim to fame, because now he's arguing back and saying clearly how the field came to how the house came to him. It came to me through so and so bought it directly from you. And now the Gemara brings back the migu, the famous migu that comes up again and again, and it comes up again and again in court. Since migu. Migu, since he could have said, I bought it from you directly, he didn't have to go use so-and-so, right? If he knows clearly, the claimer knows clearly how the house, what his rights are to the house, because, right? He could have said, I bought it directly from you. So when you say something else, that I bought it from so-and-so, and so-and-so bought it from you in front of me, so it's a good argument, because he could have said, I bought it directly from you. If I remember correctly, the question is why do you need a migu? Migu means you're winning. Migu means you win with an argument because you could have said a better argument. Why is the first? So usually the first argument is insufficient. So you need to come on to the second argument to win. The first argument is also a good argument. That's the question over here. Why the first argument is insufficient? I bought it from so and so bought it from you, and I know how in front when I was watching. So that's a question one can look into. So, Amar Rava, Kavasei Rabbi Chia Mistabra. Rava says, going back to Rabbi Chia said that if you bring witnesses that the so and so lived in here for one day, that's enough. We're going back to what what Rav Chia said. So it's like it makes sense what he's saying. The Katani, it's I believe it's a Mishnah, maybe it's a Brisa. It says Habami Shum Yerusha in Taina. One who comes in the place of Yerusha, person who's claiming rights to a field, to property, because he says I inherited it from my father, and my father, I have no idea how he came here, but I know my father was living in the land. And it's our taina. He doesn't have to argue. Okay, my father was living in the property because he bought it. No, he doesn't need that, because a yoresh, he's a yoresh, and we can claim for him. We can argue for him. Taina hudlai. So it says, the Bride says he doesn't need an argument. Ha raya bai. However, you need to bring proof that your father was there. So Rav Chia that said, bring proof that the seller was your so and so who sold it to you was there for one day. That's enough. Sorry, raya bai. He needs proof. Sorry, he needs proof. Rav Chia that said you need proof. That we're supporting his opinion from the Brisa, which says you need to have proof. Says the Gemara, who said, "V'dilma loy raya bai v'loy taina bai." Maybe the Brisa is saying he does a yoresh, a successor. That's a better word. A successor doesn't need to have an argument. He doesn't need to have argument or proof. As long as he says, "I am coming in the place of my father," that's enough, and you don't have to bring proof. Or you don't have to bring, and you don't have to argue. It's enough as long as you're coming in the place of your father. It's enough, and so too by a buyer and a seller, because a yoresh and a lokeach are we put them together. But so the Gemara suggested that it's a proof from the Brisa, and then we're pushing that away. The Ibai say another way to push away the proof is because that's by a yoresh, and we can say a yoresh is different than a lokeach. Shiny lokeach de leishadi zuzubikti. So let's explain like this: a yoresh who a son who takes over his father passes on and gives him a property. So then the son who says, "Okay, fine, I'm coming in the place of my father." So over there you have to bring proof. Bring proof that your father was here. But a lokeach, a buyer who claims the property and says, "I bought the field from so and so." So you have to bring proof. No, you don't have to bring proof that the seller was here for one day, because a buyer who spends money, who spends a lot of money to buy property, it's very likely that he looked into it, and it's very likely that he looked into the property before he spent all that money. A yoresh, it's free. Yeah. His father passes on, he gets automatically his father's property. But a lokeach who spends a lot who puts money into it, invests in it, so we can assume that he had good feelings about it, and it felt right. It felt right that when he bought the property, when he bought the field, and we can assume that he's saying the truth even without proving that the owner was there for one day, that so and so who he claims that he bought the land from was there for one day. Okay, so we push away the proof of Reb Chia in two ways. Rashbam says, even so, the final halacha is like Reb Chia. We're just trying to support him, and then we push away the support. But the halacha is true. It means we attempted to prove Reb Chia, what he said, but still, even though we couldn't prove it, but we still follow what he says. Okay, question. Ibai lahu. The Gemara questions, what about Nirabai? Reb Chia said you have to bring proof that the so-and-so lived there for one day. How about he didn't actually live there? How about the witnesses say that he Nirabai? He was spotted on his property. He was spotted in this house. He was checking it out. He was measuring the room, measuring the floor, measuring the ceiling. He was there. He was spotted by witnesses in the property. Is that enough of a proof that he actually lived there? Says the Gemara, Amar Abaye, he means it's the same. It means that's good. It's good. If he was spotted, so and so was spotted on the property, that's enough of a proof that he actually bought the land. He bought the property. Become Rava Amar, no. A person sometimes will look into a property and take the measurements but that's not proof that he actually bought the land, because maybe something came up and he decided not to, so that's not enough. Okay, so an argument between Abaye and Rava, and with that we'll stop here, and everyone should have a good day.